Hello and good morning. My name is Billy Woody. I am a software trainer here at Omni Update, and this is our monthly orientation training for OU Campus. In this session, we are going to overview some basic end-user functions. During the presentation, I'll be working in a sandbox environment, but if you're an existing customer, you can follow along in your own instance as the platform functionalities will be the same. I'll be logged in as a level 8 user, so please be aware that depending on your user level and individual user permissions, you may be restricted from some of the functionalities I'm going to be showing you today. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode as this session is being recorded. If you do have any questions during the presentation, you may submit it by clicking on the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen. Please note, the Q&A section may not be available if you're viewing this webcast through a browser. You may need to install and view the webcast through the Zoom extension for access to the Q&A section. I will attempt to address your questions as we go along, and there will be a Q&A section at the end of the presentation where I'll answer as many remaining questions as time allows. If I do not get a chance to answer your questions during the webcast, I will email an answer to you afterwards. With all that loveliness being said, let's go ahead and get started. You are hopefully seeing my lovely face here and getting ready to get started. Again, my name is Billy Woody. I'm one of the software trainers here. Let's go ahead and get into the agenda here. We're going to go over logging in to OU Campus, overview of the interface, some basic page editing. So we're going to create some new content. We're going to upload that content into our server, and we'll do our Q&A afterwards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the software and begin working. So as I mentioned, we're going to be working here in our sandbox environment. This is ours, the lovely Galena University. And as I mentioned, we're going to be logging into the system, and we're going to do this through what is called our direct edit link. Now, what is unique about the direct edit link is that it allows you to log directly into the page you want to edit. So if I'm going to work on today, say, for example, in the athletics page, I'm going to click on the athletics page, bring me into here, and then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the screen. Now, this is going to be different on each instance. In our case, it's this little last updated with a date on it. In other instances, it might be the copyright word, the copyright symbol. You may have an invisible box somewhere on your screen or the logo. It's just going to be different for each instance. So you'll just check and find out what yours is. You'll click on it, and this will bring you into the login page. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to be logging in as a level 8. All right. And as you can see, once I log in, it brings me directly to the page that I was working on. So I don't have to search around all over several levels deep. I'm already right at the page I need to start working at. So, okay, let's go over the interface here and what we are looking at. This top bar across here, this is our global navigation bar. This is going to be able to get you through the entire system here and into all the different areas within OU Campus. Just beneath that is our breadcrumb bar. This is giving you a quick bird's eye view as to where you are within your system. So currently I'm in the athletics directory and I'm working on the index.pcf page. Over the far right, we have what is called our site menu. This will be the site that you're currently working in. Now, the majority will have just a single site for the school that you're working on, but in some instances, you do have multiple sites that are all managed. So sometimes each campus, if you have multiple campuses, will have their own site. Some departments, like maybe an example, a business department or a theater department, may have their entire own website. And so you'll be able to find each individual site underneath this menu here on the right-hand side. All right, so back over here to the left, let's go over these buttons that we're going to see right here. The first one is, of course, your preview button. By clicking on this, this is basically going to give you a preview of the page we're currently looking at. The edit menu here, this brings you into the editing mode for that page. And you'll notice when I do that, we've got these little green editable regions that I could click and get into those regions to begin editing that. And we'll get over that in a little bit as well. And then we have our properties menu for the page. These are all the properties for the page. And again, we'll get more into this in just a little bit. go back here to my edit menu. Over here, a little to the further right, we have this light bulb here, and this is our check-in and check-out system. What is important to remember when working in OU Campus is that when you're working on a page, this little light bulb is going to be on. And this means this page is checked out only to you and nobody else can have access to the page. This is of course important because you don't want to have somebody else coming in and taking your page that you've only half edited it and publishing it out to the website. So this way you have control of the page. The only person that can check that page back in would be an admin, or if you happen to publish the page out, it will automatically check that page back in. And you'll notice if I click on this and check it back in, some of the buttons that are here will disappear. When I click on this, it checks it back out, and the rest of these buttons pop back in. Speaking of checked out pages, we're going to go here to the right-hand side to our gadget menu. Here you'll see several gadgets that are available for whatever area you are in. So if I click on, for example, right now, this top one, this says my checked out content, this is going to list all the pages that are currently checked out. So I do have the athletics page checked out, and I still have the index page checked out from when I was on here a little while ago. I no longer need this index page, so I'm going to turn it off from here. Now, this is important at basically the end of each of your sessions of working within OU Campus. It's a really good best practice to pop over to this gadget menu, go to your checked out content, and make sure that you check back in any pages that you accidentally checked out to yourself. This can happen. You can very easily move around from page to page and accidentally click on edit and not realize it, and you've checked that page out to you, and then whoever's coming in next to edit that page can't get to it because it's still checked out to you. So definitely when you're at the end of your day, just pop into here, check any unneeded pages back into the system. All right. With all that being said, let's jump right into doing some editing here. So to do so, we're going to click on this main content button, and this brings us into the editing region for this. And you'll notice that it does turn in this nice highlighted color, everything else grayed out, but we stay in context of the system, so we actually see what things look like while we are in here. Okay. All right, so we can come in here and we can do some basic editing, like we can do some cutting, copying through our menu or through the system itself here. So if we wanted to say, for example, cut some stuff out of this, we could take this whole section down here, and we can either use the icon here to cut it out, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts as well. So the Control X would also work, and you can cut this out. Now, if I say, for example, wanted to come back and paste this back in here, and I tried to use the paste icon up here, this may not work depending on which browser you are in. So if I click on this now, you see we get this little information pop up here, letting us know that you have to use a keyboard shortcut. This is a safety feature put in here by Chrome to basically keep nefarious individuals from taking over parts of your system and using the computer itself to basically paste information into your site and things you might not even see. So in order to paste this, I would use the Control V to paste it back in here if I need to. Other tools that are just basically up here for editing your text. If I say, for example, wanted to come into here and take this, maybe bold this out, make it a little bit larger, something like this. Again, I wanted to maybe get rid of something else that I don't need here. Let's just delete all this here out of this. I'm going to add some new text here. All right. And all the other tools you see up here in the menu bar, these should be pretty common things that you may have seen in most any editing program. So you've got things like your align tools that are right here, your links and insert links, insert images and insert video, bullet points. And there's a few other icons that we'll go over here that might not be familiar to you, but we will definitely go over this today. Over on the left-hand side, we've got these three buttons here. The one on the far left is the save and exit. This one here will exit without saving, so we'll lose any of the changes. And this last one here is our little life preserver. this is going to restore the last draft. So say, for example, you're working and you accidentally kick out the power cable or the power goes out. Everything gets lost. You hadn't had a chance to save it yet. When you get logged back in, if you can do that within around 20 minutes or so, all these changes that you were working on will still be saved. You click on the Restore Last Draft. This will bring everything back into where you were. So hopefully you haven't lost anything at all. So we're going to go ahead and save this out and click on the disk icon here. All right, so when this comes up, we actually see the changes that I've made. We see this is now bolded out. The text has been deleted. I've added new text. And the reason why we can see all this as it's happening here is because we're working in what's called a WYSIWYG editor. And that means what you see is what you get. So as you're making your changes, you actually see the changes take place in your editor. Now, that being said, this is still not live on the World Wide Web yet. This is just internal on our own staging server. And so let me explain what that means. This is what's part of our decoupled system. So all the work that you're doing here currently, and this is on our staging server. And so this means all the editing you're doing, anything you're doing to the pages, any new content you create, none of this can be seen to the outside world until you actually take it and push it out and publish it to your production server. There's two great reasons for this. One, of course, is the fact that you can do all your work without having anything being seen or accidentally put out onto the web until you're ready to do it. And also, at times when there's a lot of editing going on, you've got all the departments working together at the same time, you're using a lot of bandwidth, and so this is not going to slow down your server that all of your students are getting access to, because you're working on the back end on another server entirely, which is your staging server. So that really helps out a lot. Okay, so now that we've started working on this page, I want to take a look at how this might compare to the actual live version that's currently on the site. So I'm going to click on the versions button right here. And then when I do so, this is going to bring me into where all of the versions are listed for this website. Now, as you can see, I've got a lot already here. So anytime there is a page that's going to be edited often, you're going to see a long list of versions that are going to be here. All right, and so because of this, it's really important to make sure you put some descriptions with these versions so you know exactly what they are. So we're going to go ahead and save a version that I've been working on right now. I'm going to click on this little box with a down arrow, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick description. Training for February, and we'll save that. And so here's that version now saved here. It's still not live. All I've done is save this copy of it. The live one is still the one that's in green, and it says live right here. Okay, so if I want to actually see what this live page looks like, I can go over to View and select Page, and this will bring over the live page here. So this is what the current live page looks like. Now, if I want to compare this to what I'm working on, I can come back into here, go over to Compare, and select Compare Page. What this does, this opens up the page that I've been editing and compares it to what is currently live on the system. So anything that's in green, this is new content that I've added. Anything that it's in blue, this is existing on both live version and the staging version, but the formatting has changed. So I actually bolded this out. It knows that, so it's letting me know that this is different than what's on my production server. Anything that's in red with a line through it has been basically deleted and is no longer on the page. And if you publish this, this would be gone. So now looking at all this, I've decided, I don't like any of these changes that I've made. I want to go back to where I was at the beginning. So I'm going to go back to my versions menu, go back to my live page, and I'm going to select Revert. Now you can do this for any previous page, which is why it's a good idea to have all these descriptions in here. So if you have a page you constantly go back to, you can revert to it. But we're just going to revert to the live page. And it's going to ask me if I'm sure. I'm going to say, yes, I definitely am sure. And then we're going to go back, and you'll see if I go back to the edit menu now, we're back to where we were before. Everything as it was, all of my text is back in. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into a little bit more advanced editing. I'm going to click again on our main content button here. And I want to go ahead and add in an image into here. So I'm going to click here where I want it to be placed, right before the word want. And I'm going to click on my image icon, which is right here. Okay, once this opens up, this brings up this window here. And the very first one is this navigation button. This is going to allow me to go in and select an image that I want to use. So I'm going to click on this, and this will automatically take me to a folder that's been predefined as an image folder. And this is customizable and can be set up by your admins. But just because I've gone here by default doesn't mean I cannot navigate out of this to other areas. So you can see I can go up and go around wherever I need to go to get to things that I need to get to. So if I come into here and go into any of these, I've got campus images, things like that. So I can go wherever I need to go and navigate if need be. So, all right, so I'm going to select an image here. So when I click on it, you see we actually see a preview of the image on the right-hand side. Since we're in athletics, we'll do a nice tailgate image. We'll go ahead and insert that in here. Now, once I've done that, you're going to see this sort of bizarre looking double curly bracketed alphanumeric number. This is what's called a dependency tag. This is important within OU Campus. What this allows the system to do is to retain any relationships and links throughout the system. So right here where it has the path to the file of tailgate.jpg, it's actually given it this tag right here instead, this dependency tag. So if at any time the name of this file changes or I move it to another folder, the system will know where it is and it will automatically update all the pages that have that file. So that way you don't have any broken links. Now, if you are linking to a file that is not in the system, it's actually hosted on another server somewhere else. It can't fix those links. So you would have to actually go in and manually do that. But anything that's saved within the OU Campus system will have this dependency tag and all your links will be nice and safe, which is great. All right, so as we continue on down here, description. This is a required field. This is what is used by the accessibility tools to let people know what this image is. So you do have to have something here to let it know. Because if you try this to say OK now, for example, it's going to say description is required. So we're going to do this. We're going to call this tailgate party or something like that. Tooltip. This is what happens when you roll your cursor over an image. So for example, if I roll my cursor over any of these here, I see the little pop up underneath it there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just, I can just do a quick copy of this, paste it into here. Dimensions, if I want to, I can very quickly go in here and change the dimension. If I know that this is too large and I want to keep all my images, you know, at no wider than maybe 250 pixels. I type that, and as soon as I click out into the other window, it automatically adjusts because I do have the constrained proportions clicked here. Class and ID, these are customizable for each instance. I don't have anything set up here, but your individual instance may have some classes or IDs set up for your images as well. The next item here is our appearance tab. This is going to give you a rough idea of basically what it's going to look like once it's placed onto the screen. So currently right now we've got it left over here with the text starting at the bottom. But what I really want to do is actually have that image to the left with the text wrapping around it like this. So this is basically what I want, except for the fact that this text is right up against the edge of the image. And of course, that's just not going to look good. So I'm going to come over here and give this a little buffer, some horizontal space of 10 pixels. I'm going to click out of this. You don't want to hit the return because it'll automatically jump you out of this window. So just click out of it and you'll see it. So this almost looks like what I want it to. It's created this lovely space here on the right-hand side, but it also created a space on the left-hand side. But that's easily fixed. If we roll down here to our style, we see here that it's created a float left, which is what I selected. It's got the margin right of 10 pixels. Great. But then it also has a margin left of 10 pixels. I don't want it. Let's just highlight it, delete it, click anywhere, and we see that it's updated. So fantastic. I am now happy with this. I'm going to click OK, and then it pops the image into here. So great. Now I look at it and I go, this image is still a little too large. So you can just click on it And you do have your sizing buttons right here, so you can just click on it, size it down, whatever you want. And if I can even make it smaller here so we get some wrap going on here. Perfect. There we go. All right, so you have all these controls, and at any time I can go back in here and right click and then go back and edit this image again if need be. All right. Okay, so let's move forward here. Let's go into adding some links within the system here. There are basically four types of links that you're going to be putting into the system: an internal, external document, or a mail to link. We're going to start out first with our internal link. So I'm going to highlight this, and there's two ways to set up your link with this. You can right click and select Insert Edit Link, or just go to the icon up here as well. It says Insert Edit Link. So we'll go ahead and click on this and bring us into here. And so this brings up a very similar search box here, the same icon. We can click on this, and then we can go ahead and navigate to some other page in here. So maybe we're going to navigate to, for example, the prospective athletes page. We get an example of the page that's right here, an actual copy of it. So yep, that's exactly the page that I want. So I'm going to insert that. And so again, it is putting the dependency tag here, although it is referenced to the actual HTML page that I'm looking for. Title, this is basically, again, going to be what we see when we hover over it. So this is going to be, the same thing. We're going to go prospective. Athletes. And target, I have two options. I can say none or new window. Since I am staying within my site, I'm just going to leave it as none, so that way the page opens up right on top of where I was already. So we'll go ahead and click OK for that. And now we see our link that's been set up here. Next would be an external link. And again, this time I'm going to right click and just select Insert Edit Link. And for this, I don't need my little search box here. I'm just going to click on and type the link that I want. So I'll just have this go to Google, for example. And what I can also do is, as you can see here, I highlighted the external link. So this is the text to display, but I realize that's not really what I want it to display. So in here, I maybe want to do something else. It says go to Google. And then here, I might just put the hover as google.com. So when somebody hovers over with their mouse, that's what they see. Just beneath that, we have our target. So this one, since it's going outside of the site, I'm going to move this to new window. Now, depending on how each individual user's browsers are set up, this will either open up in a new window or it will open up in a new tab. So that is determined by the browser that the user is using. So click OK. Look at this. So the more information has come up. This is letting me know that the web address that I put in here is not a fully qualified web address. So that means you actually have to go in and put in the http:// or the https if it's a secure site, or you could just hit OK and say, yep, can you please do it for me, OU Campus? And it will, because it's very happy to help. All right, so there we go. So now we got our go to Google. You see it's changed it. I hover over it. It has google.com. Awesome. Okay, document links. Again, similar. Just click on the link, and you can click on the same search box that's right here. And this time we're just going to click over to a folder here. So I've got my football schedule. And so I can go ahead and click that and I can insert it. Same thing. Football schedule. And even though this is an internal link within the system, I want to actually open this up into a new page. So I'm going to select new window for this and select OK. And then the last one is our mail link. Now, this one is a little bit unique in that you don't see a mail link icon here. So instead, you come up to here and you select the little envelope, and this brings us into the mail link tool. So we can go ahead and type in an address, and I'll just put in mine. And I'll put in a subject. Hey, dude, what's up? Because people want to know what's going on with me all the time. I'm so popular. All right, there we go. We'll just select OK, and there we go. Now, with any of these, you can right-click and select an Insert Edit, and you can actually go back now and do that with the mail link. So if I want to go here and select Insert Edit Link, I can then come in and add in some other information, like, for example, the title. So I can say Mail Billy. And I can say OK. And so now when I hover over this, it's going to say Mail Billy. So if I save this out right now, we see all of our links, our images. If I click on the internal link, we see it opens up on the existing page where it was. If I click on the Go to Google, opens up Google in a new page here. My document link, again, opens up in a new page. Here's our football schedule. And then if I click on Mail Link, this is going to open up my my mail tools. I'm not going to bother with doing that. You guys pretty much know what that'll do. It'll open up either your Outlook or whatever mail tool you're using, and we'll send out some mail to you. All right, beautiful. All right, so let's go back now to our edit menu here, and we're going to talk about some new or some other content you can add, and this is going to be what is called reusable content. And there are 3 types of reusable content that we have here within OU Campus. They are snippets, assets, and components. The first one we're going to talk about are assets. These are these 2 arrows kind of spinning around in a square circle, if you will. And so basically what an asset is, this is something that's created by whoever is going to be in charge of creating these assets. Now, anybody can do this if you have the permission within the system to do that. But basically what an asset is it's something that's created that is just used anywhere throughout the site, but you don't have the ability to actually edit it within the page itself. So if I click on this now, this brings me into my assets here. And so I've got a lot of different assets that have already been predefined that are in here. Everything from blogs to contact forms to image galleries to news feeds. Again, I can't personally edit these, but I can take them if I want to use them on a page. So there are 5 types. You've got web content, which is basically using the WYSIWYG Editor to build your asset. Plain text, this is if you want to just have some plain text on your screen, maybe like an address or something like that you want to be able to use throughout your system. Some source code, this is used for things such as news feeds, RSS feeds, stuff from social media. Image galleries, pretty self-explanatory, a gallery of images. And then forms, so if you want to create some forms that are used throughout the site to collect data, you can do that as well. For us here, I'm going to go ahead and come back into here, and I just want to use this homecoming reunions here. So I'm going to select this and insert it. And when I do that, I see I've got this lovely little green and white hashed bar here. Now I can't do anything with this because it's just a placeholder for the asset that I just added. If I want to see this, I basically come back up here and I save it. And now I see the asset. So I can click on it and actually go through and see all the images. Now, if we don't want any of these images to be changed at any time, you would have to go into the asset manager, and whoever has that ability would go in and change these images to something different. If I decided that, I really didn't want it here, I instead wanted it up here, you can very easily just move the asset around, save it, and you see it pops up in here. So you have a lot of control of where it's going to be within your page here. You just don't have access to editing the content. So the next option we have, which does give you a little bit more power, is the snippet. So the snippet is very similar to the asset in that it's created and has some stuff that you cannot edit, but it also has some things you can edit. What the snippet will do is it'll retain things like style, formatting, but it allows you then to edit the context and content within that. So a really great example for this is, say that each department wants to have a quote from a professor for that department on the bottom of their pages, but we want to have consistency as to how that looks. So a snitch at wherever you want it placed, and then the content itself can go in and be edited at any time. And then it can edit it, but it keeps the consistency of the look. So for this one, for example, I'm going to select the accordion. One other thing I need to mention as well are the categories. They will be broken up into categories. You have generic, for example, email campaign manager, and then all categories. Something to remember about snippets is that sometimes they can only be used on specific pages. There might be a snippet that's designed to work only on the home page, and while you could place it on another page, it might not render correctly. So that's something to make note of when you are using your snippet. So go ahead and divide it up into categories and see which one you're going to be looking at. So I'm going to select the accordion here, and I'm going to go ahead and insert this into my page. When I do that, it publishes or puts out here this lovely little table that doesn't look anything appealing at all, really. But if you look at it, it's telling you what it is you can do with this. So for over here on the left-hand side, it's saying this is the heading for this content. So I'm going to go ahead and change this and maybe just put in some text here. Hello. And then over on this side here for content, this tells me that I can basically add anything through my WYSIWYG Editor toolbar. So anything I want to add here, I can just use my toolbar to do this. So here is some cool text. And I'll go ahead and maybe format this out. So maybe make this nice and big. And we'll change our font to Comic Sans because everybody loves Comic Sans. And to a nice burnt orange color. And we'll leave the other two as they are for now. And if I'm done with this, I just, again, click on the save. This will open up. And so now it's placed this accordion here. So when I click on any of these, it opens it up. So here's all the different contexts for that. And so then again, if I need to go back and edit this, I can go back into here and go ahead and edit this and change it to whatever I want it to. So you see that you have ability to change the context of it internally, but the style and everything about it is maintained because of the fact that it is a snippet. All right. So next thing we want to do is let me come back up into here, and we're going to go to the next one, which is going to be a component. Now, a component is very similar to a snippet in that you can edit the content within it, but what it does is it gives a little bit more restriction as to how that is done. So if I come back over here, my components are underneath this little atom symbol. I'm going to click on this, and I have a training component that's already set up here. I'm going to insert this. And when I do that, you see now instead of going into the page where I was before, it gives me this information page here where I can go in and type in exactly what it's asking for. So I can have some fields that are optional or required. So I can, here, say for example, this is a picture. Here telling me I need to put an image into here. So I'm going to click on my image here. And then you see here, I can go in and go to where I want, since I didn't have a image folder defined for this. So I'm going to go to resources, images, and then let's go, kitty cats, because somebody here loves kitty cats. And so we're going to put a kitty cat there. And image description, this is a hungry cat. What we're going to call it. And we're going to hit save. And so here again, we don't see anything. We have just a placeholder here. So when I save this, pops up. Oh, there it is. This is the picture. There's the picture, and there's the hungry cat. So at any point, if I decide I want to change that, I go back into my main content, roll over this, and I can click on the little edit button, and I can go in and edit that anytime I want. All right. So I am content with this page. I think this is awesome. I've done some beautiful work here, and I want to show it off to the world. But before I do that, I have to actually do some checks first to make sure that it's meeting all the standards that the admins have set up. So to do that, I go up here to this little check icon. It's called a page check. You click on this, and there are 4 different checks that can be run. Now, this can be different, again, on your instance, because this is set up by your admin. They're going to decide which things they want you to check, if anything. And then you can click Run All, and it'll go through and start running all these checks. So it's doing spelling check. It's seeing, there's one error here. There's no errors with links. Got some W3C validation errors. This is basically checking for HTML5, making sure we match everything there correctly. And then the last one is accessibility. So this is showing me if there's any problems with accessibility errors. And so I click on this. This is going to show me if there's any known problems. This is something that it can determine on its own. If it sees, for example, that you've got an H1 header following an H2 header, this is something that's going to say, hey, this is going to be an issue. You're going to probably need to correct that. Potential problems are things that basically a human is going to need to look at. So if things like potentially a JavaScript that it thinks may have flicker on the screen, you need to go there and look at it and say, nope, there's no flicker. So we can just ignore that. Or maybe if you have text written over an image, it'll mention that as well, that you need to go take a look at it and see if there's a problem about any contrast ratios, if it needs to be separated more to make it more easily seen. So let me close this back out, and I'm done with this now, but I've got some spelling errors. So let me go back here to my main content and show you another tool. And this is our spelling tool. This is right here. Now, spelling check is not dynamic. It's not happening all the time and automatic. So I actually have to click on it. And when I click on it, it's going to go through and look for any potential errors. So it doesn't know Google. So if I click on it with my left mouse button, it says it wants to call it goggle or googly. Or if I have the ability, I can just add it to my dictionary, which I've done. Now, if I come into here and let's say I start typing some just random text here, you'll notice that it does not put that lovely red line underneath it here because it's not dynamically checking the text. I actually have to come back in here, turn it on, and then it'll run the spell check and it'll see it. Oh, I don't like that word. So we can just select that and delete it. And so if you don't do your spell check prior to, you're saving right here, when you run your check, it'll let you know what has been misspelled, so then it can correct it for you. So if I save this now, go back here to this, and I run just my spell check, that one word that was wrong, the Google, is now been corrected. And so you see here, now I have no errors found with this. So this is great. All right, so now that I am fine with that, I think this is all ready to publish. I'm going to go ahead and hit my publish button here. And then again, I'm going to give this a description, and I'll say yes. Here is my new page with the cat. It's a cool cat. All right, and we'll go ahead and publish that out. And once it's done, a little green window pops up here. I can click on this, view a new window. So there is my new page. Now, let's say, for example, that somebody knows that I have this affinity for cats, and I'm always putting cats on my pages, and I really shouldn't be putting cats on my pages. So they may have me set up to actually go through an approver first. So I'm going to open up an incognito window here, and I'm going to go back into Discalina, and this time I'm going to log in as a level 6 editor. Let's go back to my athletics page. There it is. All right, not level 7, level 6. Log in. All right, so if I now check this out to edit it, and I come in here and I make some changes, I put all these cats in, lovely, lovely, lovely. I come back out and I save it. You'll notice now I no longer have a publish button. I have a submit button. So now if I click on this, it's going to submit this to whoever has been designated as my approver. And I'll put in a subject, put in a message, please approve my page, and then submit that to the approver. They will then, of course, reply back and say, no, I didn't like all these cats on the page, put dogs instead, or they might just give it a thumbs up and approve it, and they would just approve the button. So if you do see a submit button, that's what you're doing. You're going to be submitting it to your approval. So be sure to put in information in that window describing what changes you've made and things like that. So it'll be simpler for them to find out what's been changed on the page. So good to know. All right. So we're going to come back here to the page that I was editing before. I'm going to check it back out to myself. Oh, access was denied. That's because my level 6 user has it. So I'm going to go back to my pages. And because I am an admin here, I'm going to check it back into myself. Oh, won't let me check it back out. My access was denied for some reason for that. All right, so let's go back. Oh, I'm in level 8. That's why I can't do it. So I've got to log back into my level 6 and check that page back in. There it is. Check it back in. Go back. And so now if I go back to my index, there we go. Live example of the check-in and check-out at work right here in front of you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the other regions within the page that are editable, but not through the the green buttons here. So we're going to talk about here, for example, the different side regions. And let's look at, for example, the page heading right here. This can be found underneath the properties menu. So in here we have all the properties for that page that I was looking at. So here's the title for the page, any description I have for the page, if I want to have any tags created for this page, so that way I can easily find it later. I can add a tag in here and do a search for anything that has to do, for example, with athletics pages, something like that. Other custom settings, we have the page heading. And so maybe we can change this to something like new athletes. If I want to turn on image slider regions or anything like that, language translation on and off, I can turn on or off the left and right columns. Right now the left column is on, but the right column is off. So I'm going to turn it on here. And I want maybe the quick links and the content region. I'll leave that all on and I'll hit save. So when it comes back into here, you see now it says new athletes. And now I have my quick links over here on the right-hand side where I did not have it before. Now, this is a great way to do this editing here, but over here on the right-hand side underneath the gadget menu, we can open up a gadget to actually work on this. But right now that gadget is not here. So we're going to click on the little gear icon, and this brings us into our gadget menu. So we can go and select the gadget that we want. So we want to come in here, and here it is, page parameters. Click on this, and select save. I can click and drag this up here and open it up. So here are all those same parameters I saw out of that properties menu in here that I can edit. So if I instead didn't want it to be new athletes, I want to just go back to athletics page. And I really didn't want those quick links on over here. I'm going to turn off the right-hand column and then save it. And so I see everything right here happening while editing it right here. So I don't have to go back and forth between the pages, which is kind of cool. I like doing it that way myself. So, all right. All right, some other non-editable regions here. You've got this menu right here. You'll notice that when we're in edit, we cannot edit this actual menu. This is because this is a what is called your side navigation. And so if I go to the pages menu here, here's my index file I was working on, and this is the side nav file. This is what's creating that navigation. So if I click on that, we actually see the items that are in that navigation menu right here. So if I wanted to maybe make a change to this, I want to add something to this menu, I can, you know, click here for some reason, and I wanted it to link to a different page. I can come in here and I can go and select some other page I want it to go to, maybe the Gophers this or something like that, and say insert. And so it's added it right there, and will save this out, and I'll go back to my pages right here, back to my index page. So there's my click link right here. And so if I publish this out right now, and I view this in a new window, there's my page, but the button is not here. That's because this is going to be edited through that individual page itself. Oh, I got a question here from Jessica. She does not see all the parameter options that I have on my page. Just do the template you are using. Yes, basically that is it. Each of the templates are different for each of the schools, so you'll have different options in each of your page properties. So let me go back over to here now. All right, let's go back into here. You're very welcome, Jessica. We're going to go back over to our pages and go back to our side nav. Now, since this is a different page, basically, I need to publish this one independently. So I go back here to publish. And since that's now been published, if I go back here to this and I just refresh this, I now see that it shows up. So if you are working in here and you're working your page and you get it all done, you publish it out and you go, oh my gosh, where's my menu? Well, it's probably because one of your supporting files has not been published like it should be. So, all right, so we're gonna go back here again, back to my pages, back to my index file. Now, there are some other regions in here that you don't have access to within the page itself. You got things up in your header and down in your footer. And these are all taken care of by what are called the global resources. So if I go back up into pages, go all the way up to the top here to the home, we can go under resources here and then into the includes folder. And then in here you see folders for a header and footer. So for example, if I go into my header folder, I've got these checked out by somebody else. My level 6 has got these checked out as well. Level 6 has been busy. All right, let's go into my level 6 and check all those back in as well. I can hear resources, includes, header. Check all these guys back in. All right. Refresh this page. There we go. They're all there. So if I go back in here real quick, we see here's our contact information that's up here at the top. This is being created by this file right here. Here's all that contact information. So I put all the information I need into here, and it will take all the styling that's set up for that, and it'll propagate into the home page here. Things like your calendar directory, things like that. We've got our logo, is our navigation at the top that we saw, so calendar directory and A to Z. Our logo that's at the top of the screen again, here we go. So if I need to change that, our logo changed colors or something like that, I just change it here once, and then that resource file is used wherever the logo is used with that file. So just make your change once in here, which is really nice. Makes it quite simple to work with. All right. Okay. Now, we've done a lot of editing of some existing content. Now what we want to do is we're going to go in and we want to create our own content. So I'm going to go back to my athletics page right here. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new page in here. To do that, I will click on New. And here are all the different templates that are available to me. So I've got the ability to create a new file folder. This is going to be able to just basically store any binary files, pictures, documents, things like that. I can create just a new simple file by itself, a new section, which will create individual pages within inside that, and I'll get to that in a second. We've got blogs, basic interior pages. You've got interior pages with 1 column, 3 column, 2 column left, or 2 column right. So I'm just going to go ahead and take, for example, the 2 column right page. And we're going to go ahead and give this a new name, and we'll call this example page. And page here as well. Oops. All right, so file name here. Now this is the name that's actually going to be in the file here. It's important to read this information underneath it. So this is going to tell you what is allowed in terms of naming your files. Again, each instance is going to be a little bit different, and so you want to take a look at this and find out what's allowed. So here, for example, my file names can only be lowercase letters, underscores, or dashes. So I, of course, can't type example page like this. So I'll do example underscore page. And do I want to add the navigation item? I'll say yes, I do want to add it. And I'm going to hit create. So once I do that, it brings me into my page, and it's all here ready to be edited. All right. And if I'm ready to publish this, I can just go ahead and hit publish it. And this is going to be a new page. Publish. And then I can view that page in my new window here. So there it is. And again, you'll notice the example page is here, but not here. So again, we've got to go back over to our side nav. And here, instead of clicking into it, I'm just going to click on this and just say publish. Yes. And go back over to here and refresh. There's my example page. All right, so let's go back to my example page here. Actually, before we do that, let's go back into my pages here. I want to create another folder here. So we'll create a binary folder. We're just going to call this images. You see this creates a folder. There's nothing in it, just an empty folder. Okay, so here again, you can store images, PDF files, any other binary files, basically anything that's not an actual web page or helper file, things like that. So one more thing we're going to create here is a new section. So here, the icon's a little bit different here. Click on this. And again, a directory name. Here it's actually wanting me to name the directory. Again, I've got some specifics here, no special characters, no spaces. All right, so we'll call this just example directory. And page title. Page. And we'll just copy that, put it there, and yes, we'll go ahead and create that. All right, so once I've done that, there's my example directory page that it's created, but instead of creating just the individual page, if I go back into my navigation, we see in the example directory here, it's created actually 2 pages inside of it. It's got its side navigation and the index page that I've been working on. All right. So let's now go over to our images folder, because now we want to upload some images that we can start to use to work within our system. So I moved into the images folder, you can see right here, and I'm going to click on now the upload button. All right. So once I'm in here, I can click on add, and then I can navigate to my PC here. I've got image folder. So I'm going to take a couple of these here, and these like this, and go ahead and open them and drop them in right into here as well. Now, your files here will have, again, limitations as to how they can be named. So for example, if I'm not allowed to have dashes or spaces, I can go ahead and rename it right here now if I need to, and that way it'll load incorrectly. But these should all be named correctly and should load up just fine. Now, there's another way that you can add your images into here as well, and that is to just drag and drop them. So if I open up my little window here, so I've got some more of these images files, so I'm going to select a couple of these like this, click and just drag and drop them. So you'll notice that when I do this, the edges turn green. This is letting me know that this area can handle drag and drop, so I can drop it in and then go ahead and start to upload all of these images. All right, so now for any of these, if I need to, I can go in and do some basic editing in here too. So maybe we can come over here to grad students and maybe select edit the image. And this brings me into here. So say I wanted to maybe crop this. I can do that and crop it down a little bit. And then say apply that crop. If, for example, I was taking this with a phone and I forgot to do landscape instead of portrait, you can do some simple rotating in here. Then if I'm all happy and done with it, put this out of the way, I can do a save as, and grad students edited and save it. So now it's saved the new image pages. So there's my grad students edited image. All right, so now that I've got all these here, I'm gonna go ahead and publish all these out. Publish and publish. You'll notice here that it says this image here, gradstudents.jpg, cannot be published because it's checked out. So I'm going to close this. And so when I go back here and I select them all again and publish, this time I want to tell it to actually include the checked out files as well. So when I publish this now, it should publish all of them without any errors. I'll wait for our green to come up here. Publish in progress still. It's taking its time. All right, well, while that's finishing publishing, we're going to go ahead and go to our pages, and it'll let us know when it's done. Hello. Now it's doing its hang out here for a little bit. All right, let's refresh it and see if this helps us out here. All right. I'm going to republish them again just to make sure that they all went out. Oh, it looks like it already did because the thing went away. Oh, there they are. They are all published correctly. Just was not refreshing on my end fast enough, I guess. All right, let's go back into our example directory page here that we created, and we got our new index. All right, we're going to come in here. And we're going to add some of those pictures that we wanted. So I'm going to go back into here, and select some images. So I'm going to go back over to where I was and go into my athletics, my images folder. And so here's my classrooms, grad students. Take that if I want to and insert that into here. And add that in, make this a little bit smaller, and go ahead and say okay, and add that in. So now, what will often happen is when you're working like this and you're going to insert an image, you realize that the image you need is actually not even here. So I got to go upload that image right now. So I'm going to select upload. Again, I'm going to go just open up my window here, and we're going to get maybe the media one. I'm going to drop that into here. Start that upload. There it is. That's the one I wanted. I wanted the media one. Media. Select OK. Perfect. There it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this because I want to publish this out. So I look at it and I go, uh-oh, I got a broken image here. This is because, again, this file that I just uploaded has not been pushed out to the production server. Because what this is trying to show us is exactly what this would look like if I published it today at this moment without that media being pushed out. It's going to come back as a broken image. So what I'm going to do then is go back over here to publish. And you'll see here, it has this box checked off. Do I want to include unpublished dependencies? So it's going to take that dependent image and go ahead and publish it out. So I'm going to say, yes, please do. And so now if I refresh this, we see that image does show up there like it's supposed to. And it shows up even in the preview. All right. Okay, so now let's get into creating some other interesting stuff. We're going to create an asset. So let's go over to our asset manager into here. Now, what we want to do is we want to create an asset here. Again, if we remember correctly, the assets are used to create information or something that's going to be used over and over again that the asset manager person who's in charge of this is going to be creating. It can be used throughout the entire site, and then if you make changes to it, it'll automatically update those changes all throughout the site. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to create an asset that's going to have the tuition rates for the school. So I'm just going to call this tuition. And it's going to be rates. And if I want to, I can just give this a training tag so I can easily find it later. Here for access settings, it's going to be determined who has access to edit it. It's probably going to be administrators only at some point, but since I'm not an administrator, I'm going to leave it as it is for now. Available to, this is who's going to have access to this asset, who's going to be able to actually use it to place onto a page. And I'll leave this as everyone here. Now here I'm actually going to build what's actually inside this this asset. So here, let's see, tuition rates for 2018 are $205 per credit hour. Very expensive school. All right. And I want to make sure, I bold that so you see it. Go ahead and create that. And I'm going to publish it out. Right. All right. So now if I go back to my pages, to my index page here, main content, I'm going to go to my assets, look for training. Oops. Did I not put it there like that? Oh, tuition. I said it as. There it is. Enter. All right, so I have my tuition WYSIWYG right here. I save it. Now we see our tuition rates are $205 per hour, so I can publish this out. View it in a new window. There it is. Fantastic. All right, so now we've moved into 2019. We're going to go back over to our assets. And there's our tuition. We've got to change our tuition rate. So just like a page, I need to check this out so I can edit it. Go ahead and click on this. So my rates are no longer $205. It's now 2019, and the rates are now $215 a credit hour. I'm going to save it. I'm going to publish this out. And when I do that, you see that it automatically is telling me that I've got one subscribing page to this. So it's letting me know all the pages that are using this asset, and it's going to republish those pages. So I said, yes, do that, absolutely. So this is new rates for 2019. Publish. So now if I come back over here to the page that was live before and I just refresh it, we see it's automatically changed. So every single page that would have this asset would automatically be updated with this here. All right, so let's go back over to here. Now, one of the things that I'm going to show you with the pages here, now not everybody will have access to all of this. If I check this back out, oh, and I don't have access to either as well because I'm not in the right level. If you have a high enough level, you're going to have the ability to edit source code within the page as well, and do that. All right. So let's go back over to the publish area here. Oh, I'm sorry, not the publish areas. We're going to go to properties for our pages, and here we can actually go through and set up some reminders for our pages. So here, if I want to schedule a reminder for my page, so basically I want to make sure that I come in and I edit this page every month, every 6 months, or whatever it happens to be. I can set in my date and time and how often I want it to repeat. And so that way I'll get an email notifying me that, hey, time to update this page. Another type of reminder is what's called our stale reminder. This is to give us information that if a page has not been updated. So say, for example, somebody's supposed to be updating a page every week, and the page has not been touched in a week, there'll be an email that will be sent to actually go in and edit this page or do something with it because it's not been edited in the last 7 days. All right. Okay. All right. One of the last things I want to do here is talk about your publishing options about being able to schedule a page. So let's say, for example, that this page is ready to go. I'm happy with it, but I don't want it to publish out right now. So I can come into here, this little down arrow, and instead do a schedule. So if I did not want this to publish out till tomorrow, because that's when registration actually begins, I don't want this going out earlier than it's supposed to be, I can then schedule when this is going to go. So I select my date, my time, and if I need to repeat it or anything like that, anytime, and I can do that as well to republish over and over again. Again, I can set up an email and a message here to email me when it's all said and done, and then I can click on schedule. If not, I'll just hit cancel and be done with it. So, all right. Well, that is basically what I wanted to cover for you guys today. So I will hang tight here for a little bit to see if there's any questions that are going to come through on here. I will hang out and you guys can type them in and let me know. Jessica was brave enough to put out a question there. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions coming through. So I want to thank all of you guys for attending today. This recorded presentation and materials and PowerPoint slides will be available on our support site. Oh, do I have, Jessica does have another question here. Does OU have a template library? I believe the template libraries are set up for each instance. I don't think that we have a default library that goes out. I can double check that for you and let you know. But my understanding is that each of the template libraries are designed specifically for each instance. All right. You're very welcome, Jessica. Thank you. All right. Okay, so it looks like that's going to be it for us today. So I want to thank everybody for attending our monthly orientation. We'll do this again next month. Let me pull up my my power slide again here. Next Friday, March 8th at same bat time here at 10 a.m. It'll probably be me again. So we'll hang out all again and we'll do this one more time. So thanks again for attending today. If you have some questions that come to your mind later, please contact us here through the support department and we'll get those questions answered for you. Thanks again all. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend.